There is a good reason why your agent asks you if what type of financing you want before you purchase a house and lot or a condo. Hi, I'm LD, and today we are going to talk about the three different types of financing. The three types are the in-house, the bank, and the government or PagIBIG financing. These three are very different in terms of the rates and the period of the borrow or the loan. But what's most important personally is the rate of down payment at the start of your purchase. What I mean by that is, for example, for in-house, you can only loan about 80% of the entire amount. So that means your down payment should be 20%. Alright? For banks, it can go as high as 90%, so that your down payment is 10%. For PagIBIG, it can go as low as 70% and your down payment is 30%. So PagIBIG is quite high. Now, for the first option, for the in-house, what is in-house financing? In-house financing is the purchase of a house, and then after the down payment, instead of paying through the bank or PagIBIG, you will pay directly to the developer. So that means it's a quick and straightforward option. The requirements or the documents are not as rigid and they are not as strict as long as you pay. And because of that, there is no credit inspection, banks will not call you, PagIBIG will not monitor you, nothing. And sometimes they offer discounts. There is a developer, Primary Homes. They offer a 50,000 peso discount if you avail of the in-house financing. However, it's not always a good thing. Why? In-house financing usually has a shorter period of time and the interest rate is much higher. The interest can go as high as 14 to 18% per annum, and the loan period can go as short as 3 years only or as long as 10 years only. So that's what I see that discourages me as an investor or my clients, because in-house financing is much too high. Now on to number 2, bank financing. Home buyers can borrow 300,000 pesos up to 80% of the total contract price. This is so because sometimes developers have good relationship with the banks, or their houses, their products are really good. So bank appraisals are high. One thing that's good about banks and why I endorse them instead of PagIBIG or in-house is because it is much more affordable in the long run, with a affordable interest rates at 5.5% at least, up to 10% only. You, us, the investors, can pay, monthly amortizations without any worries. It is much lower than in-house, right? Much lower. And the period is 20 to 25 years, depending on the banks that the developers are accredited with. However, even before the clients can proceed with the purchase of a property, they will be required so many documents. This is for the purposes of the loan. Why? Because banks are very strict when it comes to your credit score. The banks will look into your work, your salary, the type of property you have purchased, if you can afford it, and your previous purchases on your credit card, if you have a credit card. So if you don't have any problems with the bank, everything can go smoothly. But if you have a dark history, dark past with the banks, it might become more difficult. You can still proceed, but teeny bit difficult. And of course, every year you will have to pay some miscellaneous fees for the banks. This includes the insurance, this includes the processing fee, but it's just a small amount, about 4 to 5,000 pesos only per year. And now for the third one, and the most sought after, the government loans. You can loan through PagIBIG or SSS, but let's focus more on PagIBIG because I haven't tried SSS. So let's go for PagIBIG. PagIBIG offers the longest term, 30 years, and the smallest interest rate is also at 5.5%. You're already thinking that, you know, you should go for PagIBIG because it's 30 years, it's longer versus the bank. It's 20 years. So it might be that the loan amount for the banks here at 20 years will be slightly higher versus the PagIBIG, which is 30 years. You are correct. However, if you look at it, you know, at the total amount, PagIBIG will cost you so much more. But it is so much friendly for us, the minimum wage earner, because I think it was last year that PagIBIG is now offering house loans for the minimum wage earners. I think it was 600,000 or 1.2 million. I'm gonna put it here. And for you, so that you can avail of the PagIBIG loan, you have to be a member with at least 24 months or 2 years contribution. So if you have been working and you want to check out if you can loan through PagIBIG, you can check with PagIBIG at your nearest PagIBIG office, or you can check out your payslips if your company has been deducting PagIBIG contributions per month. And if by that time that you want to reserve and you told your agent that you haven't contributed anything, a single cent to PagIBIG, you can actually pay it in bulk. And besides, the staggered down payment can last as long as 4 to 8 months. So you have enough time to put in some contributions there so that you will have no problems during the loan application. Because one of the problems I see during the loan application for PagIBIG is if your contribution is quite low. For example, you came to me, you asked me for the sample computation of this house. I gave you the sample computation. You asked me for the estimated monthly amortization for PagIBIG. I gave you the monthly amortization for PagIBIG. Now that estimated figure will be near to the figure that PagIBIG will compute. Okay? However, the difference lies here. If you haven't contributed that much for this specific amount of the house, PagIBIG will require you an additional monthly fee. As an example, one of my clients here in Cebu, 90 square meter duplex, estimated monthly amortization 2 years ago was 70,300. But upon approval of the loan through PagIBIG, we saw on the paper that it has an additional fee. And this was mainly because she has stopped contributing ever since she went abroad. So she pays an additional 600 pesos per month, or almost 18,000 for her monthly amortization in PagIBIG. So remember to ask your agent which is the better option, in-house, PagIBIG, or bank. If, for example, you have difficulty in acquiring documents and you can pay a big amount per month, you can go for in-house. If you have no contribution and you like banks more, go for banks. If you are a minimum wage earner and you think you might not be approved because of your credit score and everything, go for PagIBIG. So these are the three main options you can choose from. And as always, I'm your favorite YouTuber from Filipino Homes, and see you tomorrow. Bye.